This video will contain no story spoilers. The background footage is only of random fights throughout the game. Do not fear. This entire video here is to serve two purposes. The first one is to convince you to play Expedition 33 if you haven't yet. It took me a long while to get to playing this game, and I think it's for a lot of reasons that I will talk about momentarily. The second purpose of this video is for those who have already played the game to allow me to confirm your statements. I feel as if often people go to watch game reviews, movie reviews, things like that, not because they actually want to know about the quality of the game or film, but rather to have their opinions validated. I think this is human nature, so I don't want to harp on it too much, despite it being not what I would consider a good thing, but it is a thing, without a doubt. However, there's a good chance that those of you who have played Expedition 33 are about to have your opinions very validated. So if you're here for that as well, congratulations. This video is also not related to any kind of video aspect, so in a sense you can listen to it or watch it as a side monitor piece, listen to it in the car, whatever you need to do. So, Expedition 33 is probably one of the best games I have played in the last decade, and it might be one of the best games of the last decade. I am struggling to determine if it is taking the spot of Outer Wilds for me. I don't think it does, because Outer Wilds provides a feeling and a concept of a video game that kind of pushes the genre a little bit. 33 also pushes the genre, no doubt, but I think the way it's done is a bit more indicative of what you can do with like a visual medium, whereas Expedition 33 for me is just a really, really good game. You know, sometimes the types of genres that games have such a wide variety. So I'm kind of torn between the two of them, but that's a debate I'm happy to have in the shower, mumbling to myself consistently as opposed to having to figure that one out in front of an audience. If you have not played the game yet, you could be a little bit like me, where whenever you hear a game is really, really good, like everyone and their mother is talking about it, it creates this sort of, not necessarily negative feeling, but it creates this feeling where you kind of just don't need to rush for it. You know, you hear about it so often, you hear about how good it is, and you constantly say to yourself, yeah, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. In a sense, because it's so good, you know that it's always there for you. And because it's always there for you, you don't have to wait, you don't have to, or you don't have to rush, I mean. You know, you don't need to get, eventually you'll just get around to it. But then, almost after a time, I feel like there's this unintentional spite that comes from the chest, and I don't know if that's a me thing, or if that's a human thing, where when you hear about how good it is over and over and over and over again, you just kind of get sick of hearing it, whether or not you are busy and therefore can't play it, or, you know, whatever reason you have other things you want to get done. Having you hear it so often almost makes you not want to play it because they just won't stop talking about it. That's maybe what I was feeling. I don't know. I can't 100% tell exactly why it took me so long to play this game. I was very busy, so I mean, I guess that is part of it, but I finally did. I beat the game in about 25 hours. I did not entirely bum rush through the game at all. I did a decent amount of side content, but the last couple of hours in the final stretch of the game, I definitely went straight for the plot because I was very intrigued by the plot. I completed it, like I said, in 25 hours in 3 days' time. I played about 10 hours the first day, 10 hours the second day, and in the last 5 hours the third day. I normally don't do this because I'm a pretty busy person, and this is just something that doesn't really happen. But ironically, the reason why I ended up doing this is because I was having lots of internet issues, because Cox Communications is one of the worst companies ever made, and I was unable to stream. So I just found ways to pass the time on my own when I had all kinds of off-camera stuff done, so to speak. And so I just did that the whole time. And its hooks grabbed me in a way that I never could have ever expected it to. I think for some people, you know, you eventually just get told it's something is so good for so long that it isn't until someone you more trust or closer to you tells you to play it that you actually end up doing it. I feel like some of you, and maybe I'm giving myself a little bit too much credit here, but I get the feeling that some of you will most likely have heard it's good, and then maybe will finally play this game because of my recommendation. Because you're thinking, okay, fine, God damn it, I'll do it. Now, I don't know if that will happen to many of you. I have no idea, but if it does, I think that's my job done properly. Expedition 33 is without a doubt a game of a lifetime. It is a FRPG, a French RPG instead of a JRPG. It is a surprising combination of video games all into one. If you were to look at footage of the game, you would most likely assume, at least the non-combat, you would most likely assume it plays more like God of War. That's actually the thing that I noticed the most, was that a lot of the visuals and kind of systems of the game look a lot like God of War 2016. A lot like it, especially traveling in the overworld and just moving your character around, including various puzzles. I mean, there's even like the three lock chest type thing. It's very much like God of War. But then the actual combat is much more turn-based. Well, not much more. It is turn-based. It is a turn-based combat, but it is turn-based combat with a series of QTEs that are both for the enemies and for yourself. And this is a design philosophy that I think has substantially pushed forward the genre. One of the things that I always found annoying whenever I did turn-based games, my first thought goes to Persona, because I think this game does what Persona did for turn-based. Persona 5 particularly, its art style, its visuals, its menus, all that kind of stuff really hammered in a sense of style that so few other turn-based games were able to pull off. And I mean, Persona in general is that way, but this game feels the same. It has that same level of like, oh my God, what an insane visual style, what an insane feel. And the gameplay systems, however, have increased that. When you do your moves, you often have QTEs that go along with your moves that give you increased power and increased bonuses. And the enemies, when they attack you, are actually more reaction-based things. Lots of dodging, parrying, various types of dodging, and so on. And it does something that I actually immediately thought of Sekiro, the FromSoft game does, where one of my biggest issues with a lot of those games is when an enemy decides to do some kind of big move. In a JRPG or any kind of turn-based game, they do their big move and then you just kind of take it, right? Whereas in this game, it's not about just taking the damage. It straight up is something that you can mitigate by being good at the game. And so you're always doing something at all points of the game, which for me is probably the reason why I played 10 straight hours of this game 2 days in a row. Because no amount of amazing cutscenes, characters, and general game pacing means anything if the combat does not provide me a certain level of dopamine stimulus or whatever to the brain. And oh my goodness, does it keep me engaged? Because damage that you take in this game is not just automatic like it is in so many turn-based games. You are able to mitigate this. And not only that, but if you are a parry god, for example, very much like Sekiro, you can do damage to the opponent while they are striking you. And I think that's one of the biggest things is agency. One of my biggest issues I had with like late game Elden Ring bosses is that they would just completely start doing these insane combos that took you forever to dodge every single hit, and then you got one hit back. Whereas when you actually do it in Expedition 33, doing these insane combos is actually, in a sense, not just saving you, but if you do it properly, doing damage back to the opponent. And I think that is just, it's a genius mechanic. It's an absolutely genius mechanic. And it is easily the most fun gameplay system I have ever played when it comes to anything turn-based. When it comes to the actual combat of the game, there is no turn-based game that I have enjoyed more. That is a fact, not a hyperbole. It is that good. And then, of course, that level of build customization and the characters. I mean, you have 5 playable squad mates in total, or 5 in your total party. And, barring some specifics that shall remain unsaid, and every single one of them has their own mechanic. And their mechanics give you all this kind of combos and intrigue and variation that you can throw together. And having that, making it so that not everyone feels very samey, where not only do they have all of their own special skills, but they also have all of their own very important methods to use them. They're all related to their skills. I mean, for example, one character, CL, she has the ability to have like a light and dark card throwing thing where you stack a bunch of card procs on an enemy and then cash out for it. And doing it properly can make her into one of the most insane glass cannons in the game, because you proc a bunch of, debuffs on the enemy and then hit them and consume them all for damage that makes God quiver. And that level of stuff is just really impressive and extremely exciting to really break. Hilariously, many people use one of the game's characters, Mael. She's a very finesse-based rapier user. Or is it rapier? I don't know if YouTube is going to censor me for saying that. But ironically, I actually built her as tank because she has a move that allows her to block the attacks that are single targeted from everyone else. And so I made her really tough and tanky and made her heal on parry. So she actually became very, very good at parrying all kinds of stuff that were thrown in my entire party. And it actually allowed me to use more glass cannon characters on all of my other people, because then they would swing and then she would end up blocking. This actually started to fall apart near the end game because a lot of enemies have a big AoE attack the whole expedition attacks, but regardless, it was quite funny to turn her into that character. It's very impressive what level of gameplay system this becomes. And it combines so many various aspects of other games to the point where it kind of clearly shows that this team was inspired by many other video games. God of War is without a doubt one of the biggest ones, but even with that, the gameplay system is obviously so different than what God of War actually is. And that kind of feeling, that movement, that character customization, it makes you want to dive really deep into the build crafting of the game, and also, try to make you turn into a parry god, which is a lot of fun. That part is insane. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like goes on, not unsaid, but things that I just don't need to say. Like, the game's visuals are absolutely astronomically good. They're so beautiful. The entire game is a painting, and I mean that in more ways than one. And it is just the kind of feeling of, wow, every single location I am in can be a wallpaper on my computer. It has that same feeling. Every single location I'm in has a sound. I mean, I don't even need to get into the soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks of a video game I've ever heard. It has the same feeling that I got when I listened to Nier Automata for the first time, and it provided that same level of just sheer bewilderment. Every location has the soundtrack that hits. Every boss fight has a soundtrack that hits. There are particular bosses that I have listened to over and over again. There's a particular boss that involves masks that I've listened to their theme, visages, a million times already. And then there's also one that's more of like a rock song that people who have played the game know very well, and I have also gone crazy with. And the story is just, I mean, I was not spoiled. And if you still haven't played the game, please do, because I don't want you to be spoiled as well. But I was not spoiled for this game. And the feeling that I got with this level of like, I couldn't guess it. So often I sat there and I looked at what was happening and I threw a guess into my mind. I thought, this character is clearly this, or this character is clearly a version of this. And I was wrong every single time. every single time my expectations were not even subverted, just wrong. I'm looking at the plot of the game in my head right now, and I'm immediately thinking to myself, a lesser studio would have done this. As I was thinking about what was going on in the game, I kept thinking to myself, a lesser studio would have done this. I would have been right on my guesses of the plot if it was a lesser studio, and it was not. And it caught me off guard every single time to a level that I just did not expect. And it put me in an emotional state that I will never recover from. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, some people ask me, like, Bricky, did you cry while playing Expedition 33? Yeah, like 3 times, man. I flat out ugly sobbed in this game. Like genuine tears across the cheeks over and over again, multiple times. I am almost happy I didn't stream it because the screenshots would have been ones I could never escape for the rest of my life. I even took a photo of it for a friend of mine that I was talking with about the game. I'll probably put it in the main channel video that I'm going to make about it, which is actually kind of part of the reason why I'm making this just extreme of consciousness right now, is because I am going to make a main channel video about it, but it's mainly going to focus around the fascinating way the game makes you torn between its 2 endings. The game has 2 endings. Again, I will not spoil anything, but while I do think the vast majority of people probably consider one ending the more acceptable one, I don't think that it discounts the other one, and in fairness, neither ending feels particularly good. Both endings make me feel sad. And I think that's one of the fascinating things to talk about is the discussion of that and how through playing the game, it creates that scenario where if I were to provide to you both of these endings and if I were to explain them to you facing objective facts, you would pick one of them immediately and you would think that picking the other one is insane. And that's because you don't own the context. You do not have the context of the 20-something hours that has reached this conclusion. And I think being able to craft a game in that way is just, it's magnificent. It's a work of art. It genuinely is. The characters of the game, the script of the game, oh my God, the way they communicate with each other, the way they're written, the ability for them to provide a level of feeling there. Even the humor of the game. At first, I thought the humor of the game didn't really sit very well for me because the game is so dark, but it really works for me after some time. Certain characters, there's this really big, kind of fluffy, fat marshmallow man that helps you out on your journey. And at first I was like, what the hell is this guy? And then he became like one of my favorite characters in the entire game because he's just so fun. And that feeling, that ability to change my mind so quickly, it shows such a level of confidence that these developers had created for themselves. And to the point of just, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. It's so rare for me to sit here and think to myself, if we were to end up making a list of the best games of the decade, 10 years, this could be number 1. I'll always have Outer Wilds up there, but like this could be number 1. And if you still have something that you like more, there's a good chance that if you beat in this game, it's at least top 5. Like it's gotta be up there. I mean, naturally, games and video games just in general have genres and people like certain genres and don't like other genres, and therefore not everything will work. A StarCraft pro may not find Expedition 33 to be for them, but that is just the nature of media. It's kind of gotten its grips in me. I regret not playing it earlier. I can't believe I was able to stay completely spoilerless the entire time. Every aspect of the game is just so well realized and so smooth. I mean, I will say, I do have complaints with the game, but that's just my human nature. I don't know what it is about me. I'm very blunt, and I've realized that, where I can play something that I consider to be a 10 out of 10, and I will still like nitpick it in ways. Probably because no game is perfect, except unless you're Balatro, then you're perfect. And even Balatro has problems, like the wild cards suck, for example, and like blue stake is terrible. Small things like that. But even then, you know, the game is as close to perfect as you can get because it's Balatro. But even so, just yeah, like my complaints are the lip sync is kind of off. I think they maybe didn't mocap the game. I'm not 100% sure, but the lip sync is definitely like off. Could be other reasons, I don't know, but it's definitely a little bit odd. There's also other things like, I think some of the upgrade systems can get a little bit hard to understand. Sometimes when like you get a new character, the amount of text they throw on the screen makes you a little bit overwhelmed with what this new character does, and it takes a bit of time to figure it out. I wish there was an easier way to sort through your pictos as well. That'd be kind of nice. Goodness, what else? I'd say maybe a faster way to move around the big continent map, but even that gets fixed later on. God, I don't know. I don't have many. I really don't. It's tough. Everything that might come from there might just be like really heavy nitpicks, like, fighting certain enemies when they delay their attacks for 9 million years gets annoying. But that's just, yeah, then I try to kill them faster. I don't know. You can get pretty overpowered in this game, so it all depends. Yeah, Expedition 33, it is a game of a generation. I think it will win Game of the Year. I can't deny, though, that it does have certain competition. There is, obviously, Silk Song is coming out. Ghosts of Yote is coming out. There is always the possibility we get a Black Horse and Silent Hill F ends up being very good, or possibly Hades 2 is having its 1.0 this year. Don't get me wrong, it's got competition, but I get the feeling it's going to win. I think it's just too much of the game is too good. I'm already sitting here like knowing, well, I think I know which ones are going to be nominated for Best Performance, but most of the cast can be nominated for Best Performance, very much like Baldur's Gate. It's not quite as good as Baldur's Gate. I think every single person in Baldur's Gate goes insane. I'd say that there are a couple more obvious standouts in Expedition 33, particularly Andy Serkis and also Ben Starr are both quite good. Also, ironically, the VA, I forget her name right now. I think Jennifer English, is that her name? She plays Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3. She's also one of the characters in Expedition 33, and she also is really good. So I don't know. I'm a little struggling on that one, but soundtrack, it'll most likely win. I'd be shocked if it doesn't. I have never before wanted to see if I can get re-invited to the Game Awards more than right now to see this thing in concert. It's such a triumph. In fact, it's so much of a triumph. Half the reason I'm making this video is because I didn't want to make a video on the main channel because all I would do is glaze it like I'm talking about right now. All I would do is just glaze the game. And so the video is going to be more about discussing the endings and that kind of stuff. But this video I'm doing right here where I just talk to you is me glazing the game because what can I possibly say that hasn't been said already? What could I feasibly at all say that has not already been said? I am almost considering myself a little bit annoying because everyone kept on being like, oh my God, you gotta play this game, you gotta play this game, you gotta play this game. And then I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, I know, I'll play it. And then I get kind of annoyed by it because I keep doing it. And then I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I don't play it for a while, probably because I'm annoyed. And then I play the game. And then I'm like, God damn it, they were so right. This is the greatest thing I've played since Outer Wilds. And gosh damn it, go play the damn thing. Yeah, so that's my ramble. That's my ramble. This is my stream of consciousness. Holy shit, what a game. Yeah. Go play it. That's all I got. Please keep making more games, studio. That's all I have. Go play the game. If you haven't, I'm going to start definitely New Game Plus soon. I see no reason why not. Because the game probably warrants 2 playthroughs to contextualize some things. What a masterpiece. What a gorgeous painting. Goddamn. Thank you for watching this, I guess. I'll see you later.